Hey, it's Troy here. Got a few more arrivals that showed up just today. It wasn't a bad pen mail day for me, and wanted to show you a couple of things and give you a little bit of advice in dealing with one particular company. I gave a lot of extended tips or additional tips for newbies, and this really dovetails in exactly with some of what I was talking about. Some of my new arrivals. You know, I told you yesterday that I got a new arrival. Well, I got another one. And this one here is another Baoer. And the only reason I've got this one, it's one I had already purchased previously. It's a Baoer 517. It's a replacement for the very one that I gave my son to help kick off his pen collection. He's 7, in 2 weeks he'll be 8, and he's taken up the hobby. So he's got my old Baoer 517, and that was just a replacement. Picked up another pen, and it took a little while to get it shipped to me from Germany. Artus. A-R-T-U-S. That name may or may not sound familiar to some of you, but it was kind of the forerunner to Lamy. So if you're familiar with like the Lamy 2000 or the Lamy Safari, well, the company was known or marketed under the brand Artus back in the 40s and into the 50s. This particular pen here is the Artus 44. I wanted to get it because, you know, I didn't have an Artus in my collection, and I ran across this one on eBay. Now, one of the things you got to keep in mind when you buy on eBay, make sure you look very carefully at all the pictures. I got this one at a fairly decent price. I'd been outbid on some other Artus auctions. What you really don't see here is that there's a, well, maybe you can see it. You see that little ink window right here? That little ink window generally is green. But I'll show you a picture. I actually put the nib under a microscope, and the Artus name that's on the side of the barrel you're not going to really be able to see here because it's really dark. But it's just, you know, a black finish. This pen is probably from the 1950s. Is from what I've been able to understand. Artus is not made anymore. But one of the reasons you want to look at the pictures, you may or may not be able to see here, right there. It looks like there may have been a little bit of damage to the bottom of the pen, which is probably why I got it on the cheap, quite honestly. It does not affect the writing of it, and it's only affecting the cap at the end. This is a piston filler, and this is just the piston cap. So it doesn't affect whatsoever the operation, but it does probably affect the overall value, collector's value, and the aesthetics, obviously. But in general, you don't even know it until you take a good look at it. But you know, I paid like 15 bucks for this pen. It's a vintage pen. They don't make them anymore. They're hard to come by. I had to order it from Germany to have it shipped to me, and that finally arrived today. So, an old Artus 44, and I'll show you how that writes. I actually inked it up with some new ink I got just today. Allegheny Arsenal Gunpowder Black is the ink that I got from the folks at Birmingham Pens out of Pennsylvania. And actually I have 4 bottles of their ink now, and I'll share that story with you here in just a little bit. I got a TWSBI Eco, another one, a second one. My wife saw this one here. This one's mine. I'm not going to show you hers because hers looks exactly like this. All the same color scheme and everything. The only thing that's different is the color of ink that I put inside it. She didn't have one that had black in it, so I put a black ink in it. But my TWSBI Eco is an excellent writer. And I talked about that a little bit in my previous video, so that came in today. But the reason why I'm bringing that up is Birmingham Pens. I told you guys in my last video some of my tips for newbies to don't be afraid to try different vendors, and I had tried Birmingham Pens to get that TWSBI Eco because it had a sale, and with that sale was you buy any TWSBI product, you get a bottle of ink. So I got the Andy Warhol Pop Art Purple. So great. Well, it took a while to fulfill a lot of the orders, apparently, because their TWSBI sale must have been popular because they ran out. And it took them over a week after I placed my order to restock and turn around and send it. So I got the shipping notice that my new TWSBI Eco was finally being shipped. And so I wrote back, and I only had one pen. I'd purchased it during, they were still running that sale. You buy a TWSBI, you get a bottle of ink. And you know, it said this little screenshot and said this is what I also should have been included, and they emailed me back. and said, "Yeah, hey, we apologize for the lateness of the shipment. We tried to send you a message. Maybe you didn't get it about the shipment going to be delayed. But hey, just want to let you know I'm going to send you 3 bottles of ink, not just 1, but 3." Wow. So I emailed back and I said, that's very generous and unexpected. Thank you. And true to his word, 3 bottles of ink came with my new TWSBI Eco, and I'm thinking, I'm hoping he's not going to send 3 bottles of the same color that I had ordered. But they sent me a Duquesne Incline Station Red. I haven't tried this one yet. Sent me the Allegheny Arsenal Gunpowder Black, which is what I had asked for with the pen. And I've got a writing sample because that's what I put into that Artus 44. And he sent me a Point Park Fountain Turquoise. And I'll show you what that looks like here because I got another new pen I'm going to tell you about in just a minute. I did that in that turquoise. So I've got 3 pens inked thus far with Birmingham inks. And I'll show you what those are. All right, now I said during my last video about Esterbrook's. I've been picking up Esterbrook's, and it's interesting because I've got I just lost an auction on eBay just today on an Esterbrook, which is fine. I win a lot, I lose a lot. I don't care if I lose them. Fine. I'm only going to go but so high on my Esterbrook's, and I'm just not going to bother past that. So I had to run out today to go get some medication for my dog. Now I've got a very old dog, and he takes some anti-inflammatory for his hip and a painkiller. So I went to the vet today to go get some of that. And while I was out, because our downtown is an antique mecca, they used to call themselves, antique mecca of the South, but because they have an antique motif, I stopped by at random an antique store and went in and started looking around. I asked if they had any fountain pens, and the guy said, "No, we don't here, but right across the street, apparently is owned by the same folks. They had another storefront." So I went across there. He said, "I think we may have some over there." Looked around, and I saw this blue Esterbrook sitting right there in amongst their jewelry case, and the lady behind the counter started digging underneath, looking for, pulled out 3 mechanical pencils, and I said, "No, you got a little Esterbrook pen right over there." And she didn't bother, or couldn't see where I was. No, right there. Okay, see that one pen sitting right there. Right on the bottom shelf there. Oh, so she pulled it out, and I took a look at it. I was like, you know what? That's an Esterbrook. I told her. I said it's from the 1940s. I said I collect these. I've got a bunch of them. This one here is actually in very good shape. The ink sac was still pliable. Everything about it was perfect with one exception. It had the clip broken off from it. That kind of stinks. But it just so happened that earlier today I had I had 16 minutes to go on an auction on eBay for an Esterbrook, and my high bid was $10. So as I'm standing there, I said, matter of fact, because there's no price tag on this one, I pulled out my iPhone, and I took a look at it, pulled up the email, and I said, here, see right here, it says right here that I just won an auction for one of these pens just a few minutes ago, $10. I said, so that $10 to $15 is the price range that I'm willing to pay for these. I said, I've got a bunch of them. I don't necessarily need more. I'm just getting them for fun. I said, okay, well, there's no price tag on it, so let me call the owner of the store. So she calls the owner of the store, tells him exactly what I had just told her, and he said, okay, he'll go $10. Well, I was hoping they'd go a little less because I had a broken clip. The other one on eBay does not have a broken clip, but there's no shipping on this one. Plus, I have a pen that's actually broken, and all I got is the cap with a nice clip on it in the jewel on the top, even though the jewel in this one is fine. Well, it's going to be frustrating for me because I don't yet know how to change out a clip. I got a feeling that, I'd been looking and doing some research today online. I could not find any really good information on it. So I may have to experiment and sacrifice a few things of my pen. But anyway, if I hadn't have been getting stuff off from eBay, I probably wouldn't have banged this for just $10. So I inked it up, and I put in that turquoise from Birmingham Pens, and I'll show you how that writes. Oh, the other thing that I ran across with this thing, I had to clean it out really well. Same with that Artus. That Artus still had some dried ink. I had to flush it out really well. This one I took out the nib and put it in my ultrasonic cleaner, flushed out, and I got some blue, and that's how I ended up with that blue. And then when I went to write with it, it wrote fairly well. It was a medium, stiff medium nib, or firm medium, and that's where I got, all of that today, was during the process of smoothing it out a little bit. So I'm slowly turning into a giant Smurf. So that was my fun today. I'll show you the writing samples of that Andy Warhol ink, which I did with my mother-in-law's pen. That's what I filled in hers. That Artus 44. The Artus, I can't say that I'm impressed with the Artus. Now, it may be just that this particular one is old. Maybe the pen was abused a little bit. I don't know. Not sure. But oddly enough, I had an open space here in my handy-dandy notebook that I write all my ink samples in. And I actually had a space open, and oddly enough, right below my Lamy. Artus and Lamy being the same company. So a little while ago I had that Lamy 99 where I did that writing sample, and I had some open space down here. So I put in my Artus 44 writing sample, and I also included that Allegheny Arsenal Gunpowder Black ink, I do believe is what I just had. Yep, they're Allegheny Arsenal Gunpowder Black. So that's what that was, and it writes okay. It's not fantastic, it's not horrible, kind of in between. Nothing special, nothing fancy, old pen. So hey, I have one in my collection now. Now, also from the Andy Warhol ink from the same company, this is what their Pop Art Purple looks like right here. Not that I wasn't really including that in a pen today, but in the last one that I've got, I wanted to show you is that Esterbrook. I smoothed out that nib because it wrote kind of scratchy, but I smoothed it out some, and it actually writes really, really well. So here's what that Esterbrook now writes like. Fairly smooth. It writes a nice medium line, and it's got that turquoise. It's called the Point Park Fountain Turquoise is what they call it. So anyway, just wanted to share those with you. Still on the way. I've got a few more pens actually that are still coming. I know I've got some more Esterbrooks on the way. Don't have a lot actually on the way. Oh, the other thing, Waterman Hemisphere. I've got one of those on the way, so I'll talk about that when I get it. So just a short one today, show you a little bit of what I just added today, to show you that you can, I told you it's hit or miss when you go to antique stores or you go to flea markets. Today was a hit. Other trips I've had were a total miss. But you can try them, and don't be afraid to let them know that I'm not going to overpay for that pen, because Esterbrook's just like this at another store, they're wanting 40. I paid 10. Wouldn't go any higher than that, and they knew that because they saw exactly what I've been paying. All right, well that's it. Just maybe a few ideas for your collection as well. And maybe, just maybe, you can give the folks over at Birmingham Pens. I'll put the web site up there for you. I've had good customer service. I've ordered from them twice so far. They are very responsive to emails when you have questions or concerns. I cannot complain about their pricing, and they were very good in trying to please customers, because I definitely did not intend or expect to get 2 extra freebie bottles of ink from them. And that's, I guess, I'm returning the favor a little bit. If they're going to be kind enough in Pittsburgh to send me some extra ink, I'll be kind enough to turn around and actually use it and talk about it some. Not that I'm really being paid or to endorse them at all, but I have been impressed with their customer service, and hopefully you can give them a holler. Thanks. Bye.